Start spinning fast, I pause and take my stand. Coffee in hand, I lace up truth with heaven's battle plan. No fear, no doubt, I suit up strong, his armor fits just right. I'm walking tall, I'm prayed up now, I'm ready for the fight. Wrap me in truth, no lies allowed, I walk this road with my head unbowed. No fake disguise, no twisted words, just gospel truth, pure and undisturbed. Armor of God, my morning song, it is mine, I move along. Shield of faith and sword in hand, it is our I firmly stand. Truth on my ways, peace on my feet, victory is mine, I won't retreat. Guard my heart, Lord, keep it clean, your righteousness my daily sheen. No shame, no guilt, no hidden stain, I wear your grace like a holy chain. Armor of God, my morning song, it is mine, I move along. Shield of faith and sword in hand, it is our I firmly stand. Truth on my ways, peace on my feet, victory is mine, I won't retreat. Blue slates hot with peace I bring, good news echoes when I sing. I step with calm through storm and flame, each stride I take I lift your name. Armor of God, my morning song, it is mine, I move along. Shield of faith and sword in hand, it is armor I firmly stand. Truth on my ways, peace on my feet, victory is mine, I won't retreat. Truth on my ways, peace on my feet, mind renewed, no fear inside, salvation's found my holy guide. Thoughts aligned with heaven's view, I see the world through what is true. Armor of God, my morning song, it is mine, I move along. Shield of faith and sword in hand, it is armor I firmly stand. Truth on my ways, peace on my feet, victory is mine, I won't retreat. Word in hand, I speak with fire, sharper than steel, it lifts me high. No weapon formed can take me down. I fight with faith, I wear the crown. Armor of God, my morning song, it is mine, I move along. Shield of faith and sword in hand, it is armor I firmly stand. Truth on my ways, peace on my feet, victory is mine, I won't retreat. So here I stand, the day begun, armored up till setting sun. With every breath I walk his way, in truth and love I face the day.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I've been real busy the last couple days, so I haven't done a stream or did a makeup stream, so I just figured I'm going to wait until today, because the main story that I want to talk about is still pretty active. As the title says, Invading Greenland? Come on, man. Oh, man. I hope everybody had a good weekend last weekend. And yeah, a belated couple of days here on wishing that. So I guess we're just going to wait for a few minutes for some people to hop in here. Have somebody say hello. Well, it looks like I am going to have to sign into chat here. Let's see. Hopefully it's going to choose the right account. I don't know. Nope. Not the right one. Dang, nabbit. Now how do I log out of that chat? I guess I can't. That one might work though. Maybe. Can somebody send me a quick message on chat? I want to make sure that this is logged into the right account. It doesn't seem like the main one is. Let's see if there's a way that I can disconnect this. Disconnect. Now connect. Huh. I don't know why I didn't do that the first time. I tell you. Ghost in the machine, man. Let's try this again. It says go live to send and receive messages. Well, are you not detecting that I am live? Yes, now it is. Okay. I think it is. I think the right chat was loaded, but the wrong account was logged in. I don't know. Anyway, first, the in-house stuff. As you all know, I am not monetized, at least not yet, so I can't make any money doing my live streams. Things are accumulating on BitChute and on Rumble, but I just don't get enough views over there for that to amount to anything. So down below in the description below the video, I have a couple of sponsors there. If you would be so kind to go visit them, see if there's anything you like, maybe you get something. It helps me, not a lot, but it helps me. And I also have my PayPal link in there as well, and a QR code for it you can scan up here on the main screen. So I think if I go like that, opposite, it's up in that corner right there. You can just scan that with your phone and buy me a cup of coffee or equivalent to. I think the price of coffee is coming down a little bit, I hope. But anyway, for those of you that haven't got the update yet, I'm not going to be doing live streams on the main IRL Media channel anymore. I will upload to that channel occasionally. I did one upload last week actually, but I'm not going to live stream to it. The numbers in the count and everything are way off. I think that channel is still throttled in some way, shape, or form. It says that I've got almost 2,800 subscribers, but every time I go live I only get like 2 or 3 that are on during the live stream, and then I don't know, with over the next few days I get a few more views. So I think that channel is still got the I call it the Q curse on it. Anybody that was out there doing the Q stuff, their channels got throttled by YouTube if they weren't actually part of the opposition that was out there faking everybody out. I'm not going to mention any names. But anyway, so that's all the in-house stuff. And I didn't actually even open any of my bookmarks yet. So let me just pop open a new window and head on over to X. I saved a few things over there, and I don't know that I have to actually show them or not. Yeah, I'm debating on getting my blue check mark back. Mail call. Because it's not so much that I've been with the posting and stuff, I can post more, but I'm finding that there are a few other things that the blue check mark affords, and it also makes my menu a little easier. So anyway, before we get to the main gist of the story, I mean, I got a lot of stuff on the main gist. Just let me scroll down here. There was something else. Yeah, it's most everything I have. Okay, that's all old. So let me give you my take on this whole Greenland thing. Okay. Number one, we all know that President Trump is like the master troller. Okay. He will put stuff out there that will get people, well, let's put it this way, they get their panties in a bind. And the people that are really worried they start putting out a lot of stuff, okay? So what I think President Trump has alluded to, basically stating this. Number one, China and Russia are not part of NATO, okay? I think a lot of people are kind of starting to figure out now that China, Russia, and the United States are kind of working together along with India. So President Trump has hinted that the United States might leave NATO. I mean, there was a whole list of stuff that came out a few days ago that Secretary of State Rubio posted of all of the UN little projects that they got going on. We left like almost all of them, okay? And we're basically saying that it doesn't meet up with our America First expectations on those things. So we already popped out of that. I'm actually thinking that in 2027 we're probably going to leave the UN. Okay? But now let's talk about NATO. Okay, now President Trump has hinted at until everybody starts paying their fair share, we're not going to play ball. Okay, you're gonna pay your fair share and get what is expected of you for having those protections, or we're done. Okay, so now he's basically talking about possibly leaving NATO. Okay, and with all this talk going on, at the same time, we look at Greenland. Okay, I think the consensus is the people that actually live in Greenland don't have a problem with becoming part of the United States. They think it would actually be a big plus for them, because most of the people that live in Greenland realize that NATO has basically turned into a bunch of DEI hires. I might have taken a bookmark of one. I forget his first name. I think it's David Sachs. Basically, put the whole EU out there for everybody to see, basically saying that back in the day, the Europe produced some very good statesmen and stateswomen, but the people that are out there now, and he named all of them, every single EU country except for 3 are basically mindless. They don't know how to lead, and basically called them out for being warmongers too, because these are the people that are backing Ukraine, no questions asked, and expecting the rest of the EU to do the same thing. Well, there's at least 3 EU countries that don't want to have anything to do with picking a side between Russia and Ukraine. I think Hungary is one. Czechoslovakia might be the other one. And there's one other one. I think I'll find it as I scroll through. But either way, I think what is going to happen to cause Greenland to become part of the United States is that we already have bases in Greenland, okay? We have since World War II. And I might have even saved the story on how that happened. It's very interesting on how that actually happened. So here we are with President Trump almost threatening to leave NATO, but we're not going to leave our base that's in this country, okay? So what is he, like the prime minister or whatever he is of Greenland, has come out publicly and stated, well, if we have to choose between the United States and Denmark, we're going to take Denmark because Denmark is also part of NATO and we get NATO protection. Well, duh. The United States is actually part of NATO and we have bases in the country already. So I think that's just some deep state stuff right there. They're trying to hang on to the last few straws that they have, and you know them by their fruits. It's every single EU country that is openly backing Ukraine and saying that they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but they don't have the power to do squat. They couldn't even protect themselves if Russia decided to attack them, okay? So it's going to come down to Greenland by default is actually going to come and be part of the United States because President Trump has done his due diligence, okay? And I think the way Greenland comes into becoming a United States state is going to be the same way that Canada will too. Now, I can't remember if I actually talked about this future breaking up of the world on who is going to fall under what. So we're basically going to have 3 regions on Earth. We're going to have like a United States region. We're going to have a Russian region, and we're going to have a China region. China will basically be the superpower that is assigned to taking care of and I think they will monitor. It's not like they're going to rule over them, but they're basically going to be kind of like what the Supreme Court would be, on how things happen legally. It's not. I mean, that might be a bad analogy, but they're basically they're gonna run the day-to-day operations, all the trading and all the other stuff. So China's gonna handle all of the Asian countries. Russia is going to handle I'm guessing it's going to be all of the countries that were part of the USSR and quite possibly some other countries that weren't prior. It's going to they're going to be broken up into regions. I haven't seen a list on exactly who is all going to be part of one, but they're talking China for the Asian, Russia will be for like the European countries, okay, and then the United States will be the United States, Canada, Central America, and South America. And then rumor has it that Australia, New Zealand, and Greenland, and all of the current Caribbean islands, and including Hawaii, will all fall under the United States. It's not all written out in stone yet, but there are a lot of people that are in the know that have kind of figured out that, hey, this is what's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen, and I think the moves that are being made now, like with what happened in Venezuela, what's about to happen in Iran, and what'll happen eventually here with Greenland, because right after Greenland comes into the fold, we already know that almost all of Canada wants to become part of the United States. I think there might be one or two eastern provinces that don't, but I think most of those people that, they're far left. They have a higher population of far left over on the East Coast, or at least that's what Canada wants to make us believe. So, they're all gonna fall into the fold, and even those that that don't want to be part of it, they will soon find out how prosperous things are going to be for them. Okay, I don't think that this is like a new world order kind of thing that they're doing, but I do think that this is going to make it a much safer world, and we aren't going to have any issues with wars. The United States is not going to be the world's police force anymore. So each of those major superpowers will be basically, in fact, in charge of anything that could break out or happen in their region. That doesn't mean, I don't think, that they couldn't get help from any of the countries or from the main country from the other region. But mainly that's how that will fall. I think that's what's going to happen. Okay, so all right. Jim Ferguson put this post out that Europe is preparing for a world without America. And what that means is after President Trump shook the foundations of the Western order and Europe is now responding about it, behind closed doors, Brussels is now discussing 100,000 strong joint European force. Okay, a sovereign EU army designed to operate without Washington. And there's going to be more to this, okay? Because I'm reading between the lines right here. And there are countries, France, Germany, Belgium, a few other countries over there are basically banging their war drums and saying, hey, if the United States invades Greenland, we're going to have to go to war with the United States. We're going to have to fight them. Okay, that was like the president or one of the higher ups with the German government, and then the very next day, a representative from France comes out and says the same thing. So this whole thing with Greenland is because it is a strategic Arctic asset. Trump has been hinting about wanting Greenland under U.S. control for a long time. Well, if you think about it, with our bases that are there and we have people there, we're actually part of the economy. So we're already putting a lot of money into Greenland that the citizens of Greenland are already reaping some of those profits. It's not like a lot. I think Denmark is probably taking most of it. There were Greenland citizens that were saying that they're tired of being lied to by Denmark. Denmark is nothing but a big liar. Okay, so apparently the EU is looking at this as like a wake-up call, because on top of that, Trump is basically hinting that we might leave NATO. So if we leave NATO, these people, these countries they're going to try to make some kind of a coalition that they can stand up to the United States. I would venture to say, based off of the very short operation that happened in Venezuela recently, that the United States could, in essence, right now, exactly how we stand, go up against the whole world and we would still come out on top. That might be a bold statement, but I'm not the only one that would say that. There are people in the non-political world out there. There are influencers that are not part of the Great Awakening movement that are saying the same thing. They actually put models together on the outcome of the United States going against the whole world, and the United States would come out victorious. Okay? So Europe is doing what every power block does when its protector becomes unpredictable. It's going to build its own fist. In other words, it's going to make its own little army. So this little European army means independence from U.S. command, freedom to defy U.S. sanctions, the ability to strike deals with China and Russia. That ain't happening because these people are trying to take Russia out via Ukraine. So that would never happen, okay? Control over migration and energy routes, and the power to say no to Washington. You know what? Let them. Because we don't need NATO. NATO needs us. If it wasn't for the United States, every single one of those countries would be part of a new Russia, not a Soviet Russia, but would be part of a new Russia, because they can't even protect themselves. I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, it was Putin. He said, I'm not afraid of Britain attacking the UK because they can't even protect themselves from these men coming in little rubber rafts and taking over their country. So, the United States invading Greenland? Come on, man. This has nothing to do with that. This is all... It's all... They're rattling their sabers. They don't get the gist of what's actually going on. But this is all about safety and security. And eventually, I think this is all going to be part of a 3-region Earth, with countries being under the control of certain other superpower countries. Okay? So here we had Marco Rubio walking into meetings with Denmark and Greenland right now, not for diplomacy theater, but because President Trump is moving to secure Greenland for the United States. It's not a land grab, this is geopolitical. Greenland sits on the front line of the Arctic battlefield, the shortest route for Russian submarines, Chinese hypersonics, and the next great resource war. Whoever controls it controls the northern gateway to North America. Trump isn't acting, he's not asking, he's acting. The Western Hemisphere is being reclaimed. The Arctic is being locked down, and history is being written in real time. Greenland is no longer a frozen island. It's a keystone of global power. All right, so now I am looking for, if I can find it. I thought I might have. Let's see here. I thought I might have booked. Yeah, I think I did. All right. This is a little piece of it. I think I might have to click a couple of different screens. But in short, they're saying, why is it so difficult for people to understand that Greenland already is under U.S. control in all ways that matter to U.S. security, and it has been since 1941. The choice isn't between having Greenland or not having Greenland. It's between keeping our friends and allies or losing them. Okay? But there was, I don't know if I actually bookmarked it or not. It basically did a whole history on it, and it might be this other link down below. Let me look here. There's so much. Maybe it was this. Yeah, this is a longer version of it. This is from a law library about the government of the United States and the government of the Kingdom of Denmark being parties to a NATO treaty signed on April 4th, 1949, having regard to their responsibilities thereunder for the defense of the NATO area, desiring to contribute to such defense and thereby their own defense in accordance with principles of self-help and mutual aid. And basically, what originally happened, there was a prime minister well, he might not have been a prime minister, but he was working on behalf of Denmark. He basically signed over military control and the ability for the United States to have military bases and other footprints on Greenland, because the United States would be able to protect Greenland. Because first off, Denmark is so far away, Denmark is so little, and yeah, there's NATO, but the United States is right there. So this was done, but then all of a sudden, the prime minister and the parliament, I guess, of Denmark had a big problem with what this guy did, and it kind of went into I don't know if it was like going through their courts or whatever, but then after the war was over with, they were like, oh, well, you know what? Why don't we just leave it like it is? Denmark agreed. They then again agreed to it and said, yeah, we're going to do this. So it's basically, it says, without prejudice to the sovereignty of the Kingdom of Denmark over such defense area and the natural right of competent Danish authorities to free movement everywhere in Greenland, the government of the United States of America, without compensation to the government of the Kingdom of Denmark, shall be entitled within such defense area and the airspaces and waters adjacent thereto to improve and generally fit the area for military use, to construct, install, maintain, and operate facilities and equipment, including meteorological and communications facilities and equipment, and to store supplies, to station and house personnel, and to provide for their health, recreation, and welfare, to provide for the protection and internal security of the area, to establish and maintain postal facilities and commissary stores, to control landings, takeoffs, anchorages, moorings, movements, and operations of ships, aircraft, waterborne craft, and vehicles with due respect to the responsibilities of the government of the Kingdom of Denmark in regard to shipping and aviation, and to improve and deepen harbors, channels, entrances, and anchorages. That's so we can get our big ships in there. Okay? So the government of the Kingdom of Denmark reserves the right to use such defense area in cooperation with the government of the United States of America for the defense of Greenland and the rest of NATO, and to construct such facilities and undertake such activities therein, and will not impede the activities of the government of the United States of America in such area. There's some key words in here, okay? So what I'm reading right now is part of Article 2. There are quite a few articles. There's Article 14 articles that has to do with just Greenland. And basically this is saying that the United States pretty much already controls everything and anything to do with Greenland. And Denmark has also signed on saying that they will not impede on anything that the United States is doing in Greenland, because they're there to protect. So in short, we already control it. All right, so another reason. Okay, we know that strategically Greenland is a very key place. Okay, so it's so important strategically. They would rather the U.S. have control than Russia or China. And they both want it badly. So Trump's going to be gone in 3 years, but Russia and China, as we know, they always play the long game. The U.S. are better to have as a partner than either China or Russia. We have a better economy. We have a better military. We're stronger. Everything about it is a big plus for them. But I'm going to bring this picture up so if you guys can see it, you can see from the top of the world what everything looks like. So let me just share this. I want to... Oh, it's already there. So if you look at Greenland up here, the green, just imagine, okay, Russia is right up there. China's just up on the other side. Greenland is like, that is prime real estate. I want to just say hey to Lady Molly. She's on. She said about the rare earth minerals. I don't even, I'm wondering if I can click this and it will show up in chat. Probably not. But she's saying about the rare earth minerals. Yeah, there are some. But the main thing that they have there is the type of aluminum minerals that they use for when they're building aircraft. So yeah, that is actually part of the Monroe Doctrine as well. Okay, so in my opinion, how can you invade a country that you're already there and you've had a long-standing alliance with? You have military bases, and you probably even have off-base housing for the military people that are stationed there. So it's not like we've invaded, we're already there. So what this is people like France and Germany, Brussels, and when I say Brussels, I'm talking about Belgium. These are the EU deep state dregs that are speaking out against this. Okay, not a whole lot more that I can say about that, except we're there already. We're going to stay there. We're not going anywhere. The people in Greenland, there hasn't been a complaint from the people of Greenland about the United States or the United States military. I watched a video yesterday evening where somebody was out interviewing and talking to some of the locals that actually live in Greenland. They're from Greenland. And, you know, there was kind of some mixed review, but there wasn't anything that was against the United States. They were saying, well, we're under Denmark right now, but they're saying, which it's not so bad, but we're just tired of them lying to us all the time. Okay, so then they started talking, well, what if President Trump offered every citizen of Greenland $10,000 each if he could take and buy the country? And they were like, oh, well, it's not about the money, it's about, you know, the security, the protection, and yada yada. And they said, but, you know, being that Denmark is already part of NATO, we have our protection. But then when he said, when the price went up to $100,000 per Greenland citizen, they were all of a sudden they were like, oh, heck yeah, sell Greenland, we'll be part of the United States. So, but a good portion of those people were actually saying that they wouldn't mind being under the United States anyway. Safety, security, prosperity, all that stuff. They're not dumb. Excuse me. So I think most of what we're seeing here is trolling by Trump and Rubio. Yeah, we're definitely going to control Greenland. There's no question about it. But by the way that Trump is putting this out in the open, I think that is where we are seeing who our true allies in NATO really are. And at least 3, maybe 4 of them kind of screwed up a little bit the other day. And I think the Prime Minister of Denmark screwed up too. We'll see what happens, but I still think that this is all part of a sectioning off of the world into regions and a superpower that will be in charge of each of those regions. I see the writing on the wall. I see that maybe India too might be also maybe in charge of some of the Middle East or maybe parts of Africa. I'm thinking maybe that it might be cut into quarters. But I see India playing a part too, because there's been a lot of talk about India being a huge ally with President Trump. Okay, so I know it's just some things to look for. Put it, take it in, keep what you want. Put the rest on the back shelf in your mind, and just so you know what's there. And maybe come back and revisit it later. But maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I have a very good feeling that I'm right, at least to a point. Maybe not 100%, but I think I'm onto something here. But anyhow, I don't have a whole lot more to say. I'm looking at chats for Rumble and BitChute. I don't see anything out there. I'm actually going to close those chat windows. It'll free up a little bit more memory for me. I'm not lagging today on anything. It doesn't seem so. But anyway, so that's enough on Greenland. There was a little bit on Iran that I wanted to talk about. Well, just before that, so one last thing on Greenland. So apparently President Trump drew a red line over Greenland. President Trump just sent a chilling message to Europe. When Greenland's premier said that the island wants to remain with Denmark, Trump didn't soften it. He flatly replied, "That's their problem. I disagree. That's going to be a big problem for him." Okay, Trump, when Trump talks, he doesn't ever, this is never a gaffe for him. He's not a Joe Biden. He doesn't have words slip out of his mouth that don't mean anything. So when he said this, he said it was basically a strategic warning to, Greenland's premier. So maybe it was the premier or prime minister, whatever they call him. So Greenland is no longer a remote Arctic outpost. It is now one of the most important pieces of territory on Earth. It sits on the Arctic shipping routes, the early warning missile grid, and that's what else is set up there that we've got. That's how we detect any missiles coming across from Russia. Okay? There is a rare earth supply chain there. I don't know how big some of it is, but I know that's where a lot of the minerals and the aluminum came from for building aircraft. Okay? And then this is also known as the Northern Gateway to North America. So basically, Trump's telling the world something that the European leaders don't want to admit. If the United States does not secure Greenland's future, someone else will, and that someone will not be friendly. Either, the Europe already views Russia as the big bad boogeyman, which it's not. Okay, everything that's going on to make Russia look bad is the mainstream media, their politicians that are coming out and spouting pretty much outright lies, and then stirring the pot to make everybody want to go to war with Russia. That's these countries that are doing that over there. Okay? So right now, Russia is already building Arctic bases. China is buying Arctic ports. And Europe, as we know, is divided and militarily weak. I mean, if they were strong, they would have been able to help Ukraine already beat Russia into submission and make them leave. That's not happening. Russia's actually gaining ground in Ukraine right now. They're doing it slowly. Okay? So this isn't about Denmark, and it's not about symbolism. It's about who controls the Arctic in the 21st century. And right now, I think President Trump is making it very clear, and America's not going to step back. Okay? So, now, before I call it a day, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on I actually found the article. French Army General Nicolas Richaud cautioned America by declaring Greenland is the red line. If the U.S. invades Greenland, they stop being systemic adversaries, they become enemies. If the U.S. attacks Greenland, we must fight the Americans. This is a French Army General saying this. Nobody's scared of France. Okay, France just needs to shut up and go sit down because they talk the big talk, but they haven't done squat for Iran or for Ukraine. So that was a Freudian slip. It means, Kirk, we need to get to Iran. All right. So as you know, that right now there is a huge uprising in Iran. The people are taking Iran back right now as we speak. Unfortunately, there is a huge toll being paid, and there are a lot of Iranian civilians that are being tortured, killed. Okay? President Trump has put posts out on Truth Social, and which have been shared on X as well. So it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You know that President Trump, when he talks, he's telling you the truth. I would say if it's not happening right now while I'm live doing this, within a day or two, we are going to see some really big stuff go down in Iran that the United States is... I don't care if Israel is going to partner up or not. Israel said the other day, they said, yeah, the United States, they threw U.S. under the bus. The United States is coming to their aid. They're taking control. They're going to do it. But they're saying it's a partnership with them, but the United States is leading the way. Israel, go sit down. We are going to go in strategically, and we are going to take out the Islamic regime. And the people are going to take their country back. The prince is going to come back as an advisor and help the people of Iran set up a new government and a new way of life to bring Iran back, well, Iran/Persia, back to its former glory in the 70s, when they were strong, they were prosperous, the people were free. It basically was like the United States over there. A lot of the same things were going on. I see pictures of Iranians from the 1970s, and I think that I'm watching like a United States sitcom from back in the 70s or 60s, like a Leave It to Beaver or something to that effect, okay? I mean, that's how similar it was back in the 70s to the United States. And I think the people are done having the oppressive thumb of the Islamic regime on their throats. They're going to take their country back. Okay, so and now we're going to get into why some of, I think a lot of the Middle East countries are okay with what's going to happen with Iran, because they know that Iran right now, currently under the Islamist dictatorship, that they are the biggest exporter of terror anywhere in the world. Okay, there are a few countries, they're not being really open about it. There's a few people saying things, but there are a couple of countries that are very strong allies with the United States, by the way, that are kind of afraid of what the new Iran is going to be. Okay, but one of the biggest and main reasons that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and some of the other Arab Islamic states don't want America to attack Iran and help them out, and why they want the Iranian Islamic regime to stay in power, is because if the people of Iran are free of the Islamic regime and of Sharia law and Islam and all of that, the people of those other Arab Islamic countries would see how the people of Iran are thriving and how they're better off, and they'll be like, we want some of that. Okay? So that would threaten the dictatorships in all of the Arab Islamic countries. Now, some of these dictatorships, like, say, for example, Saudi Arabia, things are pretty free there. But I would say that Saudi Arabia is on a level of free of what the United States free is today. We're not truly free until we've broken those bonds of the Kabbalistic New World Order thugs that have been holding us back all these years, okay? Yeah, we've got some freedoms to make us think that we're totally free. That's kind of the same thing that's going on in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, a few other countries, I think even Kuwait. But so these Islamic countries, they only exist where tyrants, dictators, and terrorists are in charge. The moment Islam doesn't rule the lives of the people, Islam dies. Islam rules by the sword. And if Islam can't rule by the sword, Islam dies. Arab countries don't want any more Israels. Not Israelis. They don't want any more Israels in the Middle East. They only want Islamic rule. And They do. They rule these Islamic regimes. They rule by fear. That, you know, at first they're just gonna say, "Oh, we're gonna tax you to death," or but pretty soon, before you know it, you're getting yanked off the street, and they're shooting a pellet gun in your eye, you know, to make you blind in one eye, and that makes you blind in one eye, and it also points you out as being somebody that's against the Islamist regime. Okay? So now the Shah's widow just told Iran's military they need to pick a side. You either pick the side of a free Iran, or you pick the side of the Islamist regime. And she's telling this to the IRGC soldiers and the Basij militias. Okay? So as it stands right now, the Iranian people, they're taking names. They're writing down every single person that is involved in yanking people off the streets, number one, and the people that are torturing these people that are getting yanked off the streets, and the people that are killing these people that are getting yanked off the streets. Okay, if it weren't for the Starlink that got snuck into Iran recently, we wouldn't see some of the atrocities that are going on. And I'm not going to show them. I saw a lot of it already on X. And I'm going to tell you that the bodies are piling up. There are some that are saying that there's 20,000 plus that have been killed already. Okay, President Trump made a red line in the sand, and he said that if one hair on the head of any Iranian civilian gets hurt, we're coming. He never projects when he's going to come. He warns you, I'm coming, but he never shows his hand. That's why I said it could be happening right now while we are live on this live stream, or it's going to happen very soon after I finish. I'm thinking today, tomorrow at the latest, but it's going to happen. Okay, so now back to the former Empress Farah Pahlavi. Okay, that's Crown Prince Reza's mother. So she's basically telling them to pick a side. Okay, and she's coming right out and she's saying that's an ultimatum. You either pick the Islamic regime or you pick the free Iran. Okay, she said they're being recorded, their names will be known, and tomorrow's Iran won't forget who shot who. Tomorrow's free Iran belongs to your children too. So revolutions succeed when security forces defect. Okay, that's what happened in 1979. Okay, when the Shah's military stood down. We don't know why. Well, I'm thinking I know why, and I believe that our CIA was involved with that. Okay, that's when our CIA was openly involved in regime changes. Okay, so the Islamic regime knows this, and that's why they're panicking. So the protesters are out there chanting Yaved Shah in the streets, and the Shah's widow telling soldiers to switch sides. The monarchist movement isn't theoretical anymore. It's actually happening. Okay? It's going to happen. Iran is going to be free, and it's going to be very soon. And why am I happy about this? Because number one, like I said, Iran is the biggest exporter of terror on the planet. Okay? They control Hamas, they control Hezbollah. They've been involved with all the terror crap in the wars with Iraq. Now, Iraq is making a big turnaround. The Iraqi dinar is getting ready to skyrocket. Okay? Iraq is going to... I think as soon as Iran falls, I think Iraq is going to become a very wealthy country. But when Iran falls, that means that there won't be any more wars in the Middle East. And if they are, it's going to be by these other countries that have been quietly supporting these terrorists on the side. So we might just find out who else over there needs to be put over President Trump's knee and get a spanking. Okay? So, a free Iran means there's going to definitely be peace in the Middle East. If I don't know. See, I'm very, very into the Bible and what the Bible says is supposed to happen in the Middle East. Okay? And things are not aligning right now with how Revelations and Daniel says that things are supposed to happen in the Middle East. I see peace breaking out. I mean, even Israel is supporting a free Iran. Because that means Israel's Golden Dome is going to get a lot less busy. They're not going to be bouncing missiles and drones that are coming in every day from Gaza, which are supplied by currently by Iran. So if we have peace, real, true peace in the Middle East, not in what I call like what the peace that was pushed for Gaza, I think that was a heavy hand for peace. But I think it had to happen so that Iran would kind of be put to the side, like in the corner, in a timeout, so that other things like Venezuela and Cuba and Mexico and Colombia can take place. They saw what happened in Venezuela. Are they going to take a chance on that happening to them? I don't know. It's yet to be seen. But that's that Latino machismo. I've been wanting to take a drink of coffee. I got a frog in my throat. All right, so Iran, by proxy, through Cuba, controlled that whole drug trade and everything that was going on. They were okay with sending the drugs up to the United States to kill off more Americans, because eventually that'll be less population that they would have to fight. That would be less eventually down the road military that they would have to fight. And at the same time, they were bringing weapons like missiles, drones, updated radar and stuff like that into Venezuela. But as Russia, Iran, and China found out, their hardware can't stand up to what we've got to put on them. So we'll have true peace in the Middle East, not the heavy-handed stuff that we're currently seeing in Palestine, which will actually, the heavy hand will come off eventually. And then I see the whole Middle East being happy and prosperous. Yeah, they've got these accords, these treaties that will still be in effect, but who is going to turn around and, after all this peace in the Middle East, who would be the culprit that would turn around and go against all of that and cause what we are, what we're being told in Daniel and Revelation? So, 7 years down the road from now, I guess we'll revisit and see what's happened. Because I'm kind of thinking, I've been saying for a long time, we're not living in our real timeline. I think that the timeline was changed just prior to the 1800s. What we know is the 1800s rolling over. And I think we are probably right now living near the very end of Satan's little season. There's a lot of other people, they call themselves biblical scholars because they're self-taught and they read a lot of things and try to put a puzzle together. But when you look at the real world and what's really going on, and then see the stuff that's right there in front of your face, I think it's already happened, and we've had a past put on us that is supposed to make us keep believing where we are. It doesn't take away from God or Jesus Christ or the Christian faith. If anything, it adds to it, because if Satan's little season's over, okay, which that was after the 1,000 years of Christ's reign, Satan's little season would be coming near the end, and then we're going to get into the white throne judgment, and that will be basically where you're either going to go to heaven for eternity or you're going to go to hell. Did you turn against God? I think that's where we're at. All right. So that being said, all of the other things that are going on, especially here in the United States, the stuff in Minnesota, the stuff that's popping up in Washington State, still going on in Chicago, popping up again in LA. All of anything that has to do with ICE and deporting the illegals. There's a lot going on with that. And I guarantee you now that President Trump came out the other day and spoke out vehemently about anybody, whether you be a civilian, if you're in government, a politician, it doesn't matter what rank or status you hold. If you were involved in fraud against the United States, you're going to be arrested and you're going to face justice. When President Trump says something, you can take that as writ. Okay? So I'm going to end with that. I'm going to say God bless all of you out there on the other side of this screen. Be safe. Okay? Situational awareness. Just wear the armor of God, people. It's all on Him. Love y'all. See you next time.